What's going on, everybody? It's Jay Wilson, and I'm here to bring you something easy to understand. So we need to figure out, how do we choose aquarium equipment, our fish tank? Do we want hang on the back? Do we want a canister filter? Do we want a sump? Are we providing enough oxygen in our tank? So the story always goes, provide some surface agitation, and you yourself will provide enough oxygen in the fish tank. We also say, you really need some air stones because we really need to provide oxygen into the fish tank. So while these are partially true statements, let me go over how it works. Before making a decision, you got to understand how aeration or surface agitation works. At the top of your tank, I should say, water and air do something which exchange gases. It's natural. It happens everywhere. It happens in lakes, it happens in ponds. But oxygen goes from the air, so where we're at, and then it goes into the water, and then carbon dioxide goes from the water to the air. So it's almost like we're breathing. Does that make sense? We're bringing in oxygen and pushing out carbon dioxide. So it's something you got to think about. This is how the oxygen that fish breathe enters their habitat, and how the nasty carbon dioxide gets produced by respiration is removed from their habitat. So when fish push it through their gills, they need the oxygen to get rid of the carbon dioxide. It goes into the water. Carbon dioxide goes to the top. The surface agitation forces the carbon dioxide out, then grabs the oxygen and brings it back in. Science! So let me talk to you a little bit more. When the surface of the aquarium is disturbed, the rate of the gas exchanging between the water and the air is increased. More carbon dioxide is released in the atmosphere, and more dissolved oxygen is typically taken into the water. Surface tension of the water has to be broken for sufficient gas exchange to happen. So not blowing inside the water, but hitting the surface. So this comes into play when you're picking a specific filter. And I'll give you some tips. Fortunately, creating surface agitation is super easy. Air stones do provide it because they shoot the carbon dioxide in with the bubbles up to the top, break the surface, gas exchange happens, boop, oxygen back into the tank, helping your fish thrive and breathe properly. But one way of providing necessary aeration in a fish tank is, like I just said, air stones. You can simply use them to an air pump. You can even connect it to wood as long as it's porous and produces the necessary air bubbles. There's also attachments for specific filtration. So any air filter or filter that uses any sort of air bubbles to operate will provide the necessary aeration, as long as the bubbles are driven with enough air to actually break surface. So if you just got, check out my cool LED light bubble wand in there, but the bubbles aren't getting to the surface, you're gonna have some problems. Let's look at the top of my tank. We've got a lot of breaking of the surface. We've got air bubble exchange. Fish are moving around. They're breathing healthy. Granted, I only have 4 total fish in here. One is behind the background doing some work. So I wanted to tell you, HOBs do a very good job of this because the water typically free falls into the water, breaking the surface and thus causing the gas exchange. Then you have your canister filter. If not pointed properly, you're not going to get the necessary gas exchange that is required to keep your fish healthy. The best and most efficient gas exchanging filter, in my opinion, would have to be a sump. The water is broken from the surface, from the weirs or the teeth of the overflow box, travels down into the sump where it's getting its necessary gas exchange, and it's also getting gas exchange at the top of the tank as well when the surface is broken with the return. You are getting way more efficient oxygenation with a sump than you will with any other filtration. But remember, air stones, an attachment for a filter to provide air bubbles, breaking the surface with your HOB, your canister, or your sump, all do what they need to do. Some just do them more efficiently and a heck of a lot better than others. I hope this made sense. Remember, it's not just producing oxygen, it's releasing carbon dioxide at the same time. So when you hear somebody say, you need surface agitation because you need oxygen in the water, it's true, but now you know exactly how it happens. I hope you enjoyed this little scientific snippet with Jay Wilson, and I hope you're doing awesome. And folks, have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, enjoy your new year, and keep loving fish. You know what's next.